EllenDegeneres thought she had thoroughly prepared for her second interview with Karoline Leavitt, but her attempt to appear politically savvy went catastrophically wrong when Leavitt's precise response left her completely speechless on her own show. It started with Ellen's rushed political redemption week. After her viral clash with Leavitt, she vowed to host real conversations. But behind the scenes, her team aimed to outsmart conservative guests on policy. The green room was noticeably more welcoming this time, as Leavitt waited to be called to the set. Ellen herself had even stopped by briefly before the show, assuring Leavitt that she was looking forward to a substantive conversation about policy. "Welcome back to the show," Ellen began warmly as Leavitt took her seat amid genuine applause. "Karoline Leavitt is back with us today. Last time you were here, we had what many would call an interesting exchange." She paused as the audience chuckled knowingly. "That's one way to put it," Leavitt responded with a good-natured smile. "Now let's really dig into policy," Ellen said, leaning forward aggressively. She slapped her note cards decisively on the table between them, a calculated power move. "Your administration's economic approach has been devastating for working Americans. Let's not dance around this." Leavitt's eyebrow raised slightly. "I appreciate your directness, Ellen. We're concerned about policy impacts on everyday Americans, particularly, but isn't it objectively true," Ellen cut her off with theatrical emphasis, "that the Trump tax cuts were nothing but a massive giveaway to billionaires while plunging us trillions into debt? The data is absolutely damning." She dramatically tapped her notes, voice rising. 99% of Americans got scraps while the wealthy feasted." Wild applause crashed through the studio. Ellen shot a victorious glance toward her producer, who gave an enthusiastic thumbs up. Leavitt didn't flinch. Her voice remained measured but took on a new steel-edged clarity. "That narrative makes for great television, Ellen, but it's demonstrably false. According to Nonpartisan Tax Foundation analysis, families across every income bracket saw after-tax increases. The average middle-class family received over $2,000 in tax relief." She maintained unwavering eye contact. "I wonder if your staff provided you with the actual Congressional Budget Office figures?" Ellen's smile froze. "Well, obviously the wealthy received larger dollar amounts?" "Of course," Leavitt acknowledged, refusing to relinquish control of the exchange. "But middle-class families saw higher percentage reductions in their tax burden. Would you like me to explain the difference between absolute and relative tax benefits?" A stunned murmur rippled through the audience. Someone whispered audibly, "Wait, is that true?" Ellen's producer frantically signaled from off-camera, drawing a finger across his throat. Ellen's expression hardened as she switched tactics. "Let's talk healthcare then. Your party tried to strip protection from Americans with pre-existing conditions. That's simply unforgivable." Her voice dripped with moral condemnation. "That's categorically untrue," Leavitt responded instantly, her tone sharpening. "Every major Republican healthcare proposal explicitly included pre-existing condition protections. I can cite the exact page numbers if you'd like." She leaned forward. "The actual debate, which your viewers deserve to understand, was whether government mandates or market solutions would better protect vulnerable Americans." The audience fell unnervingly silent. Ellen's producer was now frantically flipping through papers, whispering urgently into his headset. Ellen's smile vanished completely. "Your side still denies climate change," she charged, voice rising defensively. "I mean, the science is settled." She slammed her palm on the table for emphasis, rattling the water glasses. Leavitt didn't miss a beat. "That framing deliberately misrepresents the actual policy disagreements," she returned, her composure making Ellen's outburst seem increasingly desperate. "The debate centers on human contribution levels, impact projections, and most crucially, which solutions won't create worse problems than they solve." She pulled a document from her portfolio. "Did you know nuclear energy, which many Republicans champion, produces zero carbon emissions? Or that the U.S. has outpaced Paris Agreement signatories in emissions reduction?" Camera operators exchanged glances. One whispered to another, "Holy shit." Ellen's face flushed crimson. Her producer was now pacing frantically off stage, making slashing gestures across his throat. Those technical details, aren't they exactly what your viewers deserve? Leavitt pressed, her voice gaining intensity while remaining perfectly controlled. Rather than simplified talking points? Ellen fumbled her notes, several cards slipping to the floor. Rather than retrieve them, she abruptly pivoted again. Let's talk about your anti-immigrant border policies, she challenged, desperation creeping into her voice. Let's absolutely discuss immigration. Leavitt agreed, her calm confidence now in stark contrast to Ellen's visible agitation. Did you know those cage facilities were constructed during the Obama administration? Or that deportation statistics between administrations show remarkably similar patterns? She leaned in. The policy differences are far more nuanced than most entertainment venues acknowledge. The audience was now completely riveted. Phones were raised everywhere, recording what was clearly becoming a viral moment in real time. Several audience members who had cheered Ellen earlier were now nodding slightly at Leavitt's points. We need to, Ellen began, touching her earpiece. Perhaps what's most revealing, Leavitt continued, her voice now carrying a quiet intensity that commanded complete attention, is how desperate entertainment figures are to simplify complex policy debates into good versus evil narratives. Your viewers deserve better, Ellen. They're intelligent people capable of understanding policy nuance, but they're being fed intellectual fast food instead of substance. Ellen's producer was now frantically waving both arms, mouthing what appeared to be, break, go to break. You know what I find fascinating? Leavitt continued, her eyes locked on Ellen's increasingly panicked expression. How rarely we have honest discussions about these issues in mainstream venues. Your viewers deserve accurate information, not prepackaged talking points designed to flatter their existing beliefs. They deserve hosts who prepare beyond surface-level claims. Don't you think? The studio had become so silent you could hear the air conditioning hum. Ellen stared at Leavitt, mouth opening and closing wordlessly. For perhaps the first time in her decades-long career, EllenDegeneres found herself utterly speechless on national television, caught in the merciless glare of cameras capturing her complete unraveling. Ellen glanced at the teleprompter, which was now displaying "Go to break" in large red letters. We'll need to take a quick break, she announced, her relief palpable. More with Karoline Leavitt when we return. As the show cut to commercial, the studio erupted in a buzz of conversation. Ellen immediately removed her microphone and hurried off stage, her expression a mix of frustration and embarrassment. Her producers had already formed a tight circle near the monitors, their urgent whispers suggesting the planned second segment might not proceed as scheduled.